So in this video, I want to talk about moonlit fantasy again, because one of the things that I've always found interesting in power fantasies, and it's not just isekais, but just generally in power fantasies, and especially series that have heroes and villains, but also multitude of characters that are fighting for different causes, is the idea of a fake hero, and the idea of someone proclaiming to be a hero, because I've always kind of had this thought process of that a hero needs a villain, but a villain doesn't need a hero. And for those that don't understand what I'm meaning by that and want a bit of context, is that at the end of the day, a hero needs a villain. Without a villain, there is no purpose to the hero. So a lot of the times you have these kind of stories where the hero will try and create an issue, and that's something that actually happens in real life quite a lot, where I refer to people with hero complexes, where people will create fictional issues in their lives or create fictional villains by labeling people as the bad person so that they can proclaim themselves to be a hero. And I find it interesting in a story because of the fact that it really delves into this whole mindset of narcissism and ego-driven, and them feeling like they're the center of a universe, which is basically what the word narcissist means, but them kind of trying to make everything evolve around them, forcing every little thing, trying to be part of this idea and ideals of them proclaiming themselves to be a hero. And there is one character that's been introduced in season 2 of this series that has kind of pushed that idea in the recent episodes, where he is calling himself the hero. But when you look at his behavior, he is far from a hero. He is more like a spoiled child trying to get what he wants. And so going into that a little bit more is that a villain doesn't need a hero, because at the end of the day, what is the villain's objective? To do bad things in the eyes of the opposition or others. So all their own goals. They may believe that they are the bad person and doing horrible things, but that is basically what a villain does. A villain goes around and does bad things. They don't need a hero to be a villain, but a hero needs a villain. And that's why I said what I said, is that a hero needs a villain, but a villain doesn't need a hero. And so in stories like this, I find this really interesting that they're kind of delving into this, where this main protagonist, and again, I'm curious to see where it goes further, because I haven't read the source material, of this character that has been summoned into this world, that has built this bit of an ego complex, that they are the hero, that they are the thing that the world needs to protect, and if they don't get what they want, they then basically have a little tantrum, and they will attack anyone that doesn't further their objective or goals, even if the person is innocent, and they will try and manipulate their way to getting what they want, because they think they deserve it, they think they're just and right, even if it actually, they are being the villain itself. And so I just kind of found this character very interesting in the story because of the potential of where the story can go, and also the potential interactions that this character could end up having with the main male protagonist when he does end up colliding with them. Because if you watch the opening song, it kind of indicates that the goddess is puppeting all of them, including the main protagonist, and they're all going to end up crossing paths at some point. And they kind of are a little bit crossing paths with some of the other characters, and them just trying to work out things that are going on, and etc, etc. But I feel like there's going to be a proper collision between the three main sort of summoned characters into this world, and how they will interact with each other, I think, is going to be very interesting. And the fact that it isn't just two, where it's like a fake hero and a real hero kind of mindset, this is kind of like blending into, you've got all different individuals trying to go their own different paths. Two of them, I feel like, that have been introduced into season 2 are trying to go down the path of them being a hero, while the main male protagonist, that of course we all know and love from, of course, the start of the series, he is more going on a path that he believes is right, by helping those, building sort of a marketing company kind of thing, and just selling his goods, which can lead to great productivity, but also people having access to new products and goods that they otherwise wouldn't have, like better healing potions, different types of food. And so I think he's doing more good overall by giving more accessibility to things that other people wouldn't be able to have, while these other people going around defeating things that, it's like, okay, sure, they might be defeating a big bad guy that might be threatening one of the human towns or villages or whatever, but at the end of the day, the tools that the main male protagonist is giving could end up helping on a more grander scale, allowing more like the common people, or even the soldiers, military, whatever, or healers, etc., or medics, doctors, whatever you want to refer to them, having these tools available to do more good on a grander scale. So it's kind of like, sure, they might be doing little things, they might be fighting that odd battle and winning, but the main male protagonist in my eyes is doing much more on a grander scale by giving that accessibility. But he's also bringing his own class as well and teaching them, and they will end up being able to do more in the long term. But then you've also got the other two characters, and they have their own little teams as well. But it's kind of a little bit iffy. Like the girl that's been isekai'd, she's kind of got her own team, and they're training up together to overall fight things. But then you've got the new male character that's been isekai'd, and I just feel like he's very shallow. He's really only interested in himself and his little girlfriend that he's got, and trying to sort of make himself look like a hero rather than actually being a hero itself. And especially if you see the more recent episodes, he's not the most heroic individual, but he claims himself to be the hero. So that's what I really find really fascinating about the series, and I'm so excited to see where the story goes, and I'm so glad that this is going to be a double core season, because honestly, we're getting into some much more interesting parts of the story, and things are kind of, they're going slow, but they're going steady, and they're building block by block by block. I've talked about it, this will be the third time now, about the whole concept of slow and steady wins the race, and I'm just really glad that the series is going slow and steady and building these different interesting blocks up. And because there are a multitude of new characters being introduced, and you're kind of seeing all of them move and intertwine, you need these extra episodes. I think if this was a single core, it would have been a horrible season, because you would have just started to introduce characters that you're not as invested in, and then by the time that's done, you would have been like, you needed more. So having a double core season is just really critical if you're going to have this many characters being developed at the same time. The first season made sense because most of it was focused on the main male protagonist, with a couple of other characters kind of jumping in and out with a little bit of side stuff, but this is a lot more side story driven and a lot more other major objectives going on. So it really needed that extra time to grow and build and sort of sow the seeds or plant the seeds and allow those trees to blossom into something really amazing. So I think the story is doing so good so far. The only thing I would really love is to see a proper legal English light novel translation. I've seen people talk about the web novel, but again, I would like a light novel translation, because there's always differences between the web novel and the light novel, and just having that light novel there would be really nice. So I'm hoping that there will be some form of a translation at a later date. But talking about the more recent episodes itself and just how I feel about it, my girl, my dragon waifu, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I love the kind of aura that she gives, this confidence, but she's not arrogant, she just knows her own value and strength in itself, and those trying to manipulate her and her just kind of throwing it back at them and being like, hey, you're not going to pull this off of me. But also the gracefulness that she had, where she could have ended up killing them, but she didn't. She kind of just used the fog, made them disappear, go in somewhere else, and just kind of say, you know, don't do that again or you'll regret it kind of attitude. So I really love her cool and collectiveness. I do feel like a little bit of the main male protagonist has rubbed off on her a little bit. And then of course my spider waifu and just the interaction she's having with the whole cooking adventure. It's kind of like Food Wars in Moonlit Fantasy, but just also her interactions and the fact that she's technically having interactions with someone that she had past interactions with, and now a certain wolf knows about it and she's kind of telling her to be hush hush. These characters, I just love them, and the core aspect of it. But I did see a lot of criticism for the early episodes of season 2. I get it. I get why people weren't as interested in it, but I also feel like it's important to allow the story to build up, especially if they're introducing new characters and giving you an understanding of why they're there, what the interactions are going to be, and seeing that play out in the long term, I think, is more important. But I think one of the biggest issues, and I've talked about it in the past videos, is that people want instant gratification. They want things to instantly happen overnight or in like 1 or 2 or 3 episodes. And so it's why I do like those slow burners, and I give more time and energy to those kind of series. But at the same time, if you're going into it blind, it can feel like you're wasting your time as well. That's why I always do think it's important to do a little bit of research into shows before you dive into them, especially if you're going into an anime season, just to make sure that, hey, this might be something for you, especially if it's going to have more episodes than a single core, or if you are limited on your time span. Because it's one complaint I see all the time in my comments is people going, oh, I don't want to invest my time into this because there's so many other shows and they want to know what happened. And that's why it's good to have channels out there that do reviews and analysis. But I also do feel like too many channels are not giving an analysis and a review. They're just giving you a synopsis, which sure might be helpful, but when you're watching these channels that give like 24-minute long synopsis of an episode, you're not really getting an idea of what the story is other than just them explaining it. But I feel like there's something missing when they give a synopsis. You want something that gives an opinion but can also explain things and be like, hey, this is what's happened, this is what they think of it, and give sort of a mixture, a review and a basis. And you try and find content creators that have similar tastes than you, so that you at least go, oh, this person's kind of into the same stuff as me, so if they like this, I may also like that as well. There's always going to be some differences, but at least you have a general idea. I just feel like too many content creators are more reactionary with their facial expressions and more synopsis breaking down rather than actually giving an analysis and a review of what's going on. It's not the case with everyone. I'm not like saying that every content creator is like that, but I just have noticed that there are some out there that are more, they just kind of tell you what happens in each episode week by week by week, which I think is just kind of pointless, especially when those videos are like 20 to 25 minutes long, and it's just like, you might as well just watch the episode. So I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of the first couple of episodes of Moonlit Fantasy, or 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes going into it? And yeah, definitely love to know your thoughts. So if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.